Hi guys, I haven't done a guide in a while, so I thought I'd do one now. I know it's a bit late in patch 5.3, but I thought I'd do one anyway. So I'm going to go over our current stats, talents, priority system, and any just little hints or tips. So first off, stats. As always, you want hit and expertise to 7.5% each. Mine are slightly over, but yeah, you don't want anything under 7.5%. Unless it's a sort of extreme circumstance where it would actually benefit you. But as a general rule, 7.5% upwards is what you want for hit and expertise. Our next best stats are crit/strength. I say that because it depends on how much of each you could get in any single place, as to which you want to go for. So if you can get twice the amount of strength, yeah, as crit, basically. So if you're looking at gems, where you'd be able to get 160 strength, you can get 320 crit, and will benefit from the crit more, due to obviously the fact that our crits Enrage, increasing our damage by 10%. Our crits of Bloodthirst and Colossal Smash allow us to use Raging Blow. Crit just is all round better if you can get at least sort of twice as much of it as the strength. So yeah, we're gemming for crit, basically. You only want to gem for the bonuses if they are more crit than you could get from the equivalent gems that you would be using, if that makes sense. Feel free to ask me more questions if you don't understand what I'm saying, but yeah, basically crit is our next best stat, closely followed by strength, then followed by mastery. Our mastery is okay, but it's nothing to, we shouldn't be gemming for it or reforging to it unless we can't reforge the crit. Increases our damage while we're enraged, so it is nice, but not as nice as crit. And then lastly, haste, because I think haste has been buffed a tiny bit for warriors, but it's still way lower than both crit and mastery, so we really don't want it. Don't gem for it, don't reforge to it. Try and not get gear with it on, because it really isn't that good. So that's stats priority currently. Next I will go over the talents. First tier, I don't really want Warbringer in PvE, unless you are obviously like for certain situations back in Dragon Soul when you're the sapper on the boat. It was good to have them stunned, but for the most part you don't really want it in PvE. So go for Double Time or Juggernaut. One charge every 12 seconds instead of 20, or you can do 2 in 20 seconds. So that's pretty cool. That's why I go for Double Time. Next tier, the only one I'd go for is Impending Victory. It can increase your DPS, however slightly, because it's an extra attack you can throw in there if you've got nothing else to use. It's very little rage to use it, so that's pretty nice. And rage regen sucks pretty much at the moment. It's getting a little bit of a buff in 5.4, will make it nicer, but right now you don't want it. And Second Wind is okay, but it's more for PvP. Obviously you don't want to be planning on getting below 35% health in PvE, much so. Yeah, go for Impending Victory. Next tier, they're all pretty handy. I don't like Staggering Shout as much. It's a root that breaks on damage. It's okay, but I generally go for one of these two. Piercing Howl if you're kiting, 'cause it slows all the enemies within 15 yards by 50%. Pretty nice, but Disruption Shout is also really nice. It's an AoE interrupt and silence, so that's really cool. I'll go for that in most fights, because there's generally something that needs interrupting. So yeah, that's nice. Next tier is our damaging ones. Shockwave, more for PvP again. So I wouldn't go for that in PvE, unless, again, you need adds that you're going to be kiting or stunning. It's handy for utility, but not for damage, so go for Bladestorm if there's going to be a lot of adds in the fight, because it can pull out some horrible damage if it's hitting loads of adds. But for single target or just a couple of adds, go for Dragon's Roar. Obviously 1 minute cooldown, ignores armor, guaranteed crit. It's a fantastic move still, so stick with that one. And next tier, don't go for Vigilance. I'd go for one of these two. Generally I'll go for Mass Spell Reflect. It's nice to have. 1 minute cooldown, gives every member of your party or raid a Spell Reflect. Pretty cool. or Safeguard if you need to get out of movement and parry effects, and also it reduces damage on the person that you Safeguard. So that's quite nice as well, but I would generally go for Mass Reflect. And our final tier, Avatar Bloodbath Stormbolt. Stormbolt, really not that useful still. Kind of pointless having it there. But Avatar Bloodbath. Bloodbath pushes the numbers a little bit at the moment. I still really like Avatar. I think it's fantastically fun. The transformation and the extra damage is great. But Bloodbath does win as long as you are using it pretty much on cooldown. And obviously try and time it with a couple of nice Raging Blows. You can stack them up, Colossus Smash, Dragon's Roar. If you stack it, make sure that when it's coming off cooldown you do have a few big hard hitting special attacks that can really get some nice bleed damage off of. It will increase your DPS nicely. So that's the talents, that's how they're looking at the moment. As far as glyphs go, pretty standard to be honest. Death from Above reduces Heroic Leap by 15 seconds. Unending Rage, 20 extra maximum rage, lovely. And the third one, so these two are pretty standard, they should be in most, if not every, PvE DPS Warriors glyphs. And this one is kind of more choice. I went for Glyph of Whirlwind, increase the radius of Whirlwind by 4 yards. You could go for, let's see here, Raging Blow. Your Raging Blow hits increase your next Whirlwind's damage by 10%. That's pretty nice as well. Depends what you want to go for really. It's more of a choice. Rude Interruption if you're going to be doing a lot of interrupting, but for the most part you're not going to be doing loads of interrupting, so it's sort of a waste of a glyph most of the time. Okay, now I'll go over priority. And this is pretty similar to be fair, as it has been all of Mr. Pandora. Charge in, get some rage up, and then you want to be Colossus Smashing on cooldown. That wants to be on cooldown all the time, because obviously while Colossus smashes up we're doing extra damage, because it ignores armour. You want to be using Bloodthirst on cooldown as well, due to the fact that it can proc Raging Blow. And then, obviously, our next priority is Raging Blow. If both Bloodthirst and Colossus Smash don't proc it, you can obviously proc it yourself with Berserker Rage. Click that, and you get enraged, and you can use Raging Blow, but obviously you only want to be doing that if neither of those have procced it, or if you've got one stack and you can use it and you can actually get the second stack of Raging Blow, which is pretty nice. Dragon's Roar you want to be using on cooldown. Nice little bit of damage, and obviously if you can, try to avoid using it while Colossus smashes up, because it doesn't have any extra effect. Raging Blow already ignores all armour, so if Colossus smashes up and you're using that as one of your globals while Colossus smashes on the target, it's a waste of that time that you could be using other abilities to ignore the armour. Okay, so Colossus Smash, Raging Blow, you got Blood Surge proc there, so if you get a Blood Surge proc you can use all three of the stacks of that. Again, nothing proc Raging Blow, so I'll use Berserker Rage. Keep spamming the Bloodthirst. Got a nice amount of rage here. Obviously you don't want to go rage caps, I normally wouldn't, but while I'm doing the video I'm being a bit slow. There you go. Obviously you want to use Heroic Strike if you are getting a bit rage capped, and obviously that's off the global cooldown as well. So that's a fantastic move if you got a nice amount of rage spare. Heroic Leap again is off the global cooldown, so you're going to be using that every time you can, as long as it doesn't interfere with you using a move that's higher up in your priority system, and also so that it doesn't mean that you miss one of your melee weapon swings. It's handy to have an add-on with a swing timer. LUI does have one, but I don't have it enabled at the moment. But if you've got a swing timer showing, it actually shows you when your melee swings are going to come. And obviously you don't want to be away from the target or facing the wrong way when that happens, because if you're not hitting your melee swings you're not getting any rage, and obviously it means you're not going to be doing as much damage as you can be. So just a quick overview of that. Colossus Smash, priority number 1, Bloodthirst on cooldown, Dragon's Roar on cooldown, Raging Blow every time it procs basically, and it can proc obviously from either your Colossus Smash or your Bloodthirst crits, or you can proc it yourself from Berserker Rage once every 30 seconds. If you haven't got Bloodthirst or Colossus Smash up, and you haven't got a Raging Blow proc, you want to use a Blood Surge proc if you have it. If you don't have it, just use Raging Wild Strike, because it hits harder than Heroic Strike does at the moment. If you can't use any of those, then just use Heroic Leap, Heroic Throw, something to fill in the gap until Bloodthirst comes back off cooldown, basically. I mean, yeah, that's your basic overview. If you're doing AoE, we'll pop over to these dummies here. AoE, if you got more than one target, you want to be hitting Whirlwind. Gives you a stack of Meat Cleaver, and it just means that your next Raging Blow is going to hit both of the targets. There you go, 4 hits, 1 crit. And obviously that stacks up to 3 times. So if you have 4 targets with you, 1, 2, 3 Whirlwinds, 3 stacks of Meat Cleaver, and it increases the number of targets hit by Raging Blow by 3. So if there's 4 people around you, you're going to hit 4 targets with your Raging Blow, and that's just disgusting amounts of damage. So yeah, for AoE you want to be spamming Whirlwind. If you have loads of excess rage, also can be using Cleave. It's not great, but it's off the global cooldown, so if you have spare rage, then go ahead, use it. And yeah, spam Whirlwind, hit all the enemies with your Raging Blow. Dragon's Roar obviously as well. Dragon's Roar on multiple enemies is lovely. Other than that, looking at cooldowns now. So obviously I have my cooldowns here. Skull Banner, you want to pop that down first. Pop Bloodbath, and then I use my cooldown macro, which just pops Recklessness. It uses my gloves, it uses a potion. And obviously that's where you want to put any racials, if you're an orc, if you're a troll, if you're extra haste or extra damage. And also any trinkets that you may have that have activate abilities, not passive ones. So that's where you'd pop them, and you pop your Skull Banner, and then your Bloodbath, then your cooldown macro, and then you go nuts, and the damage is just disgusting. Other than that, guys, I think I've covered most stuff as far as our PvE DPS goes. Stats, priority, talents, glyphs. Yeah, I think that's about it. If you have any questions, please do feel free to put them in the comments section. And please do like, comment and subscribe to the channel. I know I haven't done any videos for a while, well, up till yesterday, but I'm going to try and get back on making them. Going to do some raiding videos, hopefully get some footage recorded of Throne of Thunder for you guys tonight. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys, much appreciated, and I'll see you soon.